Welcome to Beginning Genealogy. Getting started. Start with yourself and your immediate family and then work backwards through the generations. Limit your focus to one family line, either your father's family line or your mother's family line, and then just narrow it down as you go through the generations. Document or source everything. If you talk to someone, write it down, the date and the place. Gather information from your family members. Starting with the older members, they may remember names, places, and dates for the vital statistics that you want. Family interviews. Basically do it now. Especially with older people, you want to plan ahead. You want a list of questions, both factual and open-ended questions, to encourage storytelling. The latter would include things like, what was it like when you were in school? To, what toys did you have? If possible, if the interviewee is comfortable, record your interviews, either audio or video, for the future. While you're there, arrange to view old photos and other treasures or collectibles for more stories. When you are there, also bring your mystery or unknown photos and artifacts from your own collection and see if there's any stories behind them. Other good practices. Embrace the challenge. You'll find inconsistent dates, places, and spellings. This happens for one reason or another. The date that you think is right is not right, or the date that was given was incorrect, but it's close. Same with places and spellings. Spelling is not a major thing, at least before 1936, when Social Security came in. Embrace the bumps in the road, or better known as brick walls, to look at many different sources. Commit to good research practices. Start and stay organized. Use family history forms and genealogical software programs. Either one, you can stay organized with. Forms, we will go over the forms in a little bit. Limit your use of sticky notes or little scraps of paper. This can get lost. Many people, when they inherit the genealogy, they're scraps of paper and they have to figure out all the information. And cite your sources. Where did you find that scrap of paper? Or who did you interview and what date did you interview them? Record-keeping basics. First of all, your name. It should be first name, middle name, preferably caps on the last name. List nicknames in quotes, and with women, list them with their maiden names. So if you look at the example, it is Ethel, Etta is her nickname, Houghton is her maiden name, and Pye is her married name. Record keeping. Dates and places. Dates should be written day, month, year. As you see here, the 12th of October, 1913. This is the American style, which is 10-12-1913. You can get confused. The European style and military style is day, month, year. You want to be consistent with this so you know what date you have. Also look at geographic locations. It should be the city, the state, the county, and the state. You definitely want the state because there are 15 Jackson counties in the United States. With foreign countries, as far as their geographic locations, you want to go the city, the state, and the country. If it's a small village, you want to start with the village. You want to go to the next town, the large town, and then the state and the country. Oftentimes there will be upwards to 50 towns in the country with the same name, so you want the right name in the right place. This is your pedigree or generation chart. I refer to it as the road map. You're going to be number 1. You're going to put your parents in. Usually the father's name goes as number 2 and the mother's name is number 3. Fill out as much as you can on those. As you notice, the father was born in Ohio County, Indiana. Since there's an Ohio County and Ohio State, you want to put county in so you get it in the right state, which is in Indiana. His death place is in Nottoway County, Missouri. Since there's no state of Nottoway, you don't need to put the county in. This is the family unit chart. As you can see, the father's at the top, the mother is the second grouping, and then the children are below, which they also include their spouse's name. Both on the father and the mother, they show their parents' names. Each child should be filled out, of course, with their spouse, so you can get an idea of not only their information, but where they were born, because they may have been born in several different places. Paper files versus digital storage. Both are good. Paper options include having file folders in a file cabinet and 3-ring binders to group your family charts as well as your pedigree charts together. You should file them alphabetically or by individual or by surname. Digital options include software programs, which are basically reviewed in various periodicals. These are just 3. Online tree options include Ancestry.com, which is the regular Ancestry.com, FamilySearch.org, also Find My Past and My Heritage. The next step, extending your research. This is where we're going to go into some of the ideas for sources you might look at to find your ancestors. The U.S. federal census is the first records that we start people on to move back in their family tree. It was taken every 10 years, ending in the 0 year from 1790 to 1950. 1790 to 1840 was heads of households, listed only with the other members of the household were listed by age only. 1890 was destroyed by a fire in 1921, although there were some scraps that still existed. All this is maintained by the National Archives and Records Center and is accessible through numerous publication and online databases. Online census search tips. Less can be more. When you're putting the information in to look at a particular census, just put in the name and maybe one identifying piece of information like birth date or birthplace or where they were living. Be flexible. The census taker did not ask how to spell the name, they just wrote it down. Always take time to view the actual census record as shown here. You can add or save it, print it, or record it on our census sheets. And definitely report it in your research log. No luck finding your person? Get creative. Do a different spelling. Instead of PH, use F as far as trying to find them. Research after the U.S. federal census. Some states, counties, and local records include other censuses, such as state or territorial censuses, Indian censuses, federal non-population schedules. Those are basically 1850 to 1880. And several states did take censuses, such as New York, Iowa, and Kansas. Vital records, birth, marriage, and death certificates. Birth and death certificates were basically around 1900, 1910 area when those were legislated. Marriage records should go all the way back to the beginning of the county unless something happened to the records, such as a courthouse fire. Legal records, deeds, wills and probates, and court documents. Some of the older court documents have been transcribed, and you might find some interesting stories about your family, and maybe they were in a lawsuit or they sued somebody. Online background information. FamilySearch.org has a research wiki that you can get into without getting into an account. They give you suggestions on where you can go look for different items. And the Red Book, which has a list of the states and counties and what records still exist, and if there were anything that happened to them, such as a tornado or a courthouse fire. Newspapers and more. Newspapers are some of the most interesting sources. They may include obituaries and feature stories. They also include news of the town. If it was a smaller town, they might list who was visiting whom and the relationship. We have newspapers on microfilm, including the Kansas City newspapers and some of the Independence ones. Online newspaper databases include Chronicling America, which is a free site through the Library of Congress, Access Newspaper Archive, and newspapers.com, the library edition. Other records you might consider are military records. Find out where the wars are and see if you had someone of military age that would serve. City directories, church and cemetery records. You're going to need to find out what denomination your person was to find out where the church was. Immigration and naturalization records, and tax and property records. The form on the left-hand side is the research checklist. It is a visual to see where you're at, what items you've done, and what items you might want to look for. Where to look. State, county, local libraries and archives. County courthouses, church archives, genealogical and historical societies, college and university libraries, and genealogy websites such as ours at MGC, or there are others. The State Historical Society of Missouri and Missouri Digital Heritage have also digitized records. Missouri Digital Heritage has the death certificates from 1910 to 1973. So, place to look for those things. You might find parents' names on there, for instance. And of course, our website, check our blogs. and see what interesting information there are there. Sharing your information. Why share? You'll be able to connect with other genealogists researching the same line. Ways to share include message boards such as RootsWeb or Ancestry, social media such as Facebook, Twitter, which is now known as X, Pinterest, and other social media. Create a website or a blog. Put your information out there so people can connect. A family reunion. You can find all sorts of new cousins. And online community trees. Just make sure that they have been sourced. This is a listing of all our online classes. You can see that if you've gone to beginning genealogy, the surrounding tiles include all these: Ancestry, census records, internet genealogy, tracing your immigrant ancestor, using Fold 3, using Heritage Quest, and using ILL for genealogy. Each of them gives specific hints on that particular topic, and you can find them online at midwestgenealogycenter.org. Thank you for attending Beginning Genealogy at www.midwestgenealogycenter.org. Our address is here, and our phone number, and our email. If you have any questions, you can email us. They do limit those emails research to 3 questions and basically lookups. Again, thank you. And try and go to some of our other classes. We do have both hybrid classes where you can either come in person or go on Zoom. You do need to register, and it's at the top of our page. Thank you.